Story 1. The White Silence. Day 1. I thought I knew cold. I trained for years, mountain trails, ice climbs in Alaska, weeks at a time in sub-zero camps. I'd cross snowfields where the wind tore the skin off my lips, where the cold carved into bone like a knife. I thought I knew. But the Arctic, real Arctic, high up where the maps are more suggestion than truth, laughed at that kind of experience. When the helicopter left me on the ridge, the silence pressed in. No trees, no birds, just a sheet of white stretching so far into the horizon it felt like the earth had erased itself. I'd signed up for 3 weeks of solo hiking and mapping, a trial run for a larger expedition. My tent, sled, food packs, survival rifle, nothing else. The air was so dry it hurt to breathe. Each step broke a crust of snow that sounded louder than my heartbeat. I remember thinking, if I get hurt out here, there's no one, not even a distant cabin, not even static on the radio, half the time, just silence. I pulled my sled into the wind, thinking of the miles ahead, thinking of the white silence that had already begun to feel like a living thing. Day 3. My routine kept me sane. Walk 6 miles, stop, pitch tent, melt snow, eat freeze-dried stew, journal, sleep, repeat. But the landscape was getting crueler. Ice ridges, sharp as broken glass, forced detours that cost me hours. Snowstorms erased my trail overnight. I learned not to trust the compass when the magnetic pull shifted near buried iron deposits. The silence deepened. You don't think silence can change, but it can. The silence here wasn't absence of sound, it was presence. A pressure in the skull, a weight on the lungs. Sometimes, I'd whistle just to hear a noise. Once, I shouted, "Hello!" into the ice and waited for the echo. There was none. Day 5. First scare. I woke in the middle of the night, throat burning with thirst. My watch said 2:14 a.m. The wind had stopped. I sat up in the tent and heard footsteps. Not boots, bare, pressed into snow with a slow, deliberate crunch. I froze. The sound circled the tent once, then stopped. When I finally worked up the nerve, I pulled my knife and unzipped the flap. Nothing. Just untouched snow, glittering under aurora light. Not a print anywhere. I told myself it was the wind shifting ice. That silence makes you hear things. But when I lay back down, I could swear the footsteps started again, this time farther away, out in the white. Day 8. My food supply is dropping too fast. I ration carefully, but the cold burns calories like firewood. My sled is lighter now, and that scares me. Last night, I had another incident. I left the tent to piss. My breath fogged instantly. My boots crunched in the snow, then another crunch. To my left, I turned. Something stood maybe 30 yards away. At first, I thought it was a cairn, one of those Inuit stone markers, but it moved. It was thin, impossibly tall, white but not snow. Its shape blended into the landscape so perfectly my eyes refused to focus on it, just a suggestion of shoulders, a head tilted slightly toward me. I blinked. It was gone. No tracks. When I crawled back inside the tent, my hands shook so badly I spilled water all over the floor. I told myself I was hallucinating from hunger, but the silence outside felt alive, watching. Day 11. I keep hearing my name. Not shouted, whispered. Elias. Sometimes it comes from far across the ice. Sometimes it comes from right behind the tent wall. I tried not to write that. I tried to convince myself it was wind whistling through rocks, but rocks don't say names. My compass is useless now. It spins like a wheel every time I check it. I rely on the sun, but clouds hide it more often than not. I walk blind, pulling my sled deeper into nowhere. Last night, I dreamed of the figure. It stood inside the tent, bent at the neck so its head almost touched mine. Its face, or what I thought was a face, was featureless, smooth, snow over bone. I woke, gasping, my sleeping bag frozen stiff around me. But when I rolled over, The inside wall of the tent was wet. Condensation. Or breath. Day 14. Storm. 3 days without moving. The tent walls thrash like sails, poles bending. I can't hear myself think, only the wind. I ration snowmelt and eat 1 protein bar a day. My stomach cramps constantly. My teeth ache from the cold. But worse, the footsteps are back. Even over the storm, I hear them, pacing, circling. Once, in a break of silence, I heard something press against the tent wall. Not clawing, not punching, just a single, slow drag of fingers across the nylon. I held my knife and whispered out loud, "Please go away." The silence answered. Day 17. The storm broke. My tent is shredded. I lost half my food. My gloves are stiff with ice where snow melted and refroze. The world outside is blank. White horizon, white ground, white sky. No shadows, no direction. But I saw it again. This time closer. It stood at the edge of my vision, tall as a tree, tilting its head like it was studying me. When I turned, it shifted, not like walking, not like running. It just slid sideways until it vanished into the horizon. I screamed after it, throat raw, but the silence ate my voice. Day 20. I don't know how many miles I've walked. The GPS died 2 days ago. My watch froze solid. My fingers are black at the tips. I keep seeing structures in the distance, wooden cabins, towers, ships frozen in ice. When I walk toward them, they dissolve into snow. Hallucinations, I tell myself. But the figure never dissolves. Last night, I woke to find the tent unzipped. Snow had blown inside, half burying me in my sleep. The zipper lay open as if something had crawled in. I don't remember leaving it like that. I don't remember closing it again. Day 23. My journal pages are stiff with frost, but I have to keep writing. Words remind me I'm still human. My legs are weak. My water ran out. I chew snow, but it only burns my throat. The silence has changed. Now it hums, a low vibration, like a voice beneath hearing. Sometimes it says my name again, sometimes it says nothing at all, but I feel the words in my skull. I saw the figure directly today, no tricks at the corner of the eye. It stood 50 feet away, in full sight. Tall, pale, thin as starvation. Its face a smooth mask of ice, featureless except for a mouth that stretched wide, too wide, breaking the silence with a sound like cracking ice. I fell to my knees. When I looked up, it was closer, 20 feet. I screamed and shut my eyes. When I opened them, gone, but the silence still hummed. Day 26. No more food. My body is shutting down. Each step feels like walking through water. My boots drag. My knees collapse. But the figure doesn't let me rest. It follows, always at the edge of sight, always closer. I no longer dream. I no longer eat. I only walk. The silence isn't silence anymore. It's breathing. Final entry. If anyone finds this journal, know this. The Arctic is not empty. The silence is not silence. It watches. It waits. It walks with you until you can no longer walk, until your body is just another frozen shape in the white. I hear it outside now. Not footsteps breathing. Slow. Heavy. Right at the flap of the tent. I can't move. My body is ice. It whispers my name one last time. Elias. And the silence answers. Story 2. The Burning Dunes. Day 1. The desert makes a liar out of memory. When I stepped off the jeep that dropped me at the canyon rim, I thought I knew heat. I thought I knew how much sun a man could take. I thought of those training hikes back in Nevada, where we'd trek until our boots melted into asphalt. But here, deep Sahara, a stretch of dunes so far from roads the satellite phone only blinked, no signal. Heat wasn't just temperature. It was a weight, a suffocating hand pressing into the lungs. I came here for solitude, a test of endurance. Just me, my pack, 10 gallons of water, a compass, and the endless sand. The plan: cross 70 miles of dunes, chart a route, then rendezvous with a pickup team at the far side. 3 weeks, max. The Jeep's dust cloud vanished fast. Within minutes, I was alone. Just the sun, the sand, and the endless, shimmering horizon. I remember thinking, silence can't kill you. I was wrong. Day 3. The sand is alive. It moves when you aren't looking. Ridges shift, dunes collapse, valleys fill themselves. My compass is useless, the iron here bends the needle. I follow the sun, but in the heat haze, even that looks warped. The silence is worse than the heat. It isn't quiet, it's hollow, a vast emptiness pressing into the ears. Sometimes I clap my hands just to hear a sound. Sometimes I shout my own name, Daniel, but the desert swallows it whole. Already, my lips are cracked raw. My tongue feels like wood. The water ration burns away too quickly. At night, the cold is worse. Stars sharp enough to cut. Sand that freezes like stone. I curl in my bivy sack and dream of rivers. Always rivers. Day 5. I saw someone. It was dusk, the dunes glowing red under the dying Sunday. I was half delirious, dragging my feet, when a figure crested the ridge ahead of me. A man. He stood still, wrapped in pale cloth, his head tilted back as though staring at the stars already blooming in the sky. I shouted. My throat cracked, but I forced the word out. "Hey!" The figure turned. No face, just blank cloth. And then gone. No prints, no tracks. When I climbed the ridge, there was nothing, just sand stretching forever. I told myself, hallucination, sunstroke, nothing more. But when I tried to sleep, the silence outside my bivy sack shifted, pressed, as though someone was standing just beyond the fabric, breathing. Day 8. I am losing water faster than I planned. I try to ration half a liter a day, but the heat wrings sweat from me until my shirt is soaked through. I wring it into my mouth like cloth. My body rebels, cramping, shaking, a constant thrum in my ears. Last night, I woke to whispers. Not wind, whispers. My name, Daniel. Soft, patient, as though spoken by someone kneeling right beside me in the sand. I tore open the bivy sack, knife in hand. Nothing. Just the cold stars and a desert so endless it felt like space itself. But the whispers didn't stop. They only sank deeper, into my skull. Day 11. I have stopped counting miles. The dunes reset themselves each day. I climb one, thinking I'll see distance, but the horizon folds itself into another wall of sand. The silence has changed. It isn't hollow anymore. It's heavy. I feel watched. Today, I walked into footprints. Not mine, not animal, human. Bare feet, pressed deep into the sand, leading down a slope and vanishing where the wind had smoothed them away. I followed them, desperate for proof of someone else. My legs shook with thirst, lips cracked to bleeding. At the bottom, I saw it. The same figure, white cloth, faceless, standing in the valley between dunes. This time, closer. I stumbled forward, called out. My voice broke. The figure didn't move. When I blinked, it was gone. But the footprints were still there. Day 14. I am rationing drops now, one every few hours. My urine runs red. My tongue splits when I speak. But worse, the whispers are constant now. They come from every dune, every shadow, not just my name, whole sentences I can't quite catch. I strain to listen, and they slip away. Last night, I swore I felt someone sit beside me as I lay in the sand, the weight pressed into the ground, close enough that my shoulder brushed it. When I turned, nothing, but the imprint remained. A body's weight in the sand. Day 17. I found bones. Half buried, bleached white, human. A ribcage cracked open like dry wood. Next to them cloth, pale, frayed, half fused into the sand. When I touched it, it crumbled, but the wind caught it and carried it away, as though it had been waiting. That night, I dreamed of the figure standing over me, cloth writhing like snakes, face smooth and endless. It leaned down until its featureless head was pressed to mine. I woke gagging on sand, my mouth full of it. The whispers didn't stop. Day 20. I don't remember walking. I only remember falling, again and again, the sun drilling into my skull. But when I crawled to the top of a ridge, I saw something impossible. A well, stone-lined, ancient, rising from the center of the dunes like a tooth. I stumbled to it, heart exploding with hope. Water. There had to be water. When I looked inside, it was dry. But carved into the stone were dozens of handprints, pressed deep, as though burned into the rock, some small, children's hands. And at the bottom of the well, in the darkness, something moved. I fled. Day 23. I no longer drink. I no longer eat. I only walk. The figure follows, always at the ridgeline, always in sight now. It does not walk. It glides, cloth trailing, faceless head tilted. Sometimes I see more than one, 3, 4, 5 of them, standing together in the valley, waiting. When I blink, gone. But the whispers never leave. Day 26. My journal is sand-stained. My skin peels in sheets. My eyes burn. The silence is gone. Now it is a roar, a low hum that fills the skull, a chorus of whispers too many to count. I tried to scream. Sand poured from my mouth. I see the figures everywhere now. Dozens. Hundreds. Standing in the dunes like statues. Pale cloth writhing. Faces blank. Endless. They whisper my name until it's no longer mine. Final entry. If you find this, know this. The desert is not empty. The silence here is a mouth, and it swallows men whole. The figures are waiting. They always wait. I see them at the edge of my vision now, closing in. Not 1, not 10, all of them. The desert takes you, piece by piece, until you are only sand. The whispers say it is my turn. I am already gone.